never saw you as a Welshman.
Yeah.
But what's the biggest manufacturer in the world of machinery? I said you can buy their shoes and everything else like that. And he said Gucci. Never do any kind of buying and procurement when it's your birthday and you're going on the piss with your mates. I mean, that's always good advice. How long do you think you have to be recorded before they can clone your voice? And the answer is 2 seconds.
Get on the ground. It's the best thing. Anyone who wants to get into construction plans.
Is having a red card another risk?
I always say this to new testers. Be a person before anything else.
Because the accountant fucked off with a busted boss's money, never to be found again, and we went skin. When I said to him scientifically, how much work has Charlie done on his bungalow? He said, well, by the square metre, if you times it by the amount of cube that's come out, he said, fuck all.
The opinions expressed within this podcast are solely the individuals and do not reflect the opinions and beliefs of the sponsors or its affiliates.
I really like that Clarkson's farm. It's really good.
It's class. Yeah.
You see, when he fucked that machine up, you know, to get the gooseberries or the blackberries.
Is that when he straddled the wall? Yeah.
He's got no respect, does he, for anything that he just thinks, right, that's it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And everything will work and the machinery will just come one by one.
Yeah, did you see when he had
See
when he had the remote control? He had the remote control like brush cutter.
Yeah.
And he just lost control of it, and he's just gone. It's just run off on its own. And he's oh shit.
Another thing.
But he makes me laugh because when that Caleb's obviously quite hands-on and been farming for a long time, he decided he was going to try and they had a competition, didn't they? He's going to try and farm the unfarmable. Did you see that?
Yeah, I've seen that. And that's serious.
And he tried to get this tractor and trailer in this field that he doesn't use. And he totally cocked it up and caught the post, caught the wall. And then he gets out, he just does his nut. And Caleb fucking sort this out. And Caleb just goes, you fucking idiot. Right? And he just gets in the tractor. And the first thing he done was he lifted the trailer up because it's got 2 like massive wheel arches, which is what was causing the damage. So Caleb's lifted the trailer up. Now it's completely clear. And then Caleb drives it in and Jeremy goes, yeah, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, it's like me. I'd done the same thing with a car. You know, you're having a bit of a set to with a wife, and you know, at the time in the car, I used to have a Ford Galaxy type of thing. There was 7 fucking kids, 7 seats for 7 kids. You know, that kind of thing. Not 7 brides for 7 brothers, but 7 seats for 7 kids. And he was at Milton Keynes. And there was a place in Extension called Midsummer Boulevard, which is part of the extension of Milton Keynes Shopping Centre. The irony of it was I was on that job, so I know everything about the building of the car park and everything else to do with it. So we're in the fecking car park going shopping, and she can't reverse the thing into the space. So I said, "Fuck's sake, get out of the car with you, and I'll fucking do it." Do you know what I mean? It was meant to be your turn to drive, so I gets in the car. You know, as you do, fucking gives it a wheel spin into the back of the thing, smash straight into the barrier, rip the fucking bumper off. But I fitted that fucking barrier. There was only one person in that car park that knew it was there. You know, because I spent fucking months doing it.
Quality.
Yeah, you know, I'm good at that. I'm good at reversing vehicles into the things. You know, I've done that a few times.
I went to a quarry. I remember going to a quarry once, right? Lynch had asked me to go and take some photos of this new long reach they got. And I've gone up to the security bloke, right? And I said, I've come to take these photos of this machine. He said, I don't think he knew quite what was going on, right? Because he went, oh yeah, put this on your car. And it was like a great big CB area with a flag on. You have to have that when you're a visitor in a quarry, didn't you? So I put that on. He said, right, go all the way up, follow the conveyor to the end. When you get to the end of the conveyor, turn right, and you'll see your long reach working in the pond to your right. I thought, oh right, yeah, we'll have some of that. So I've drove up there, turn right, and you know when you're driving on if you visualise a car driving along a stony, pebbly beach, you know that noise it makes, that, and it was getting wetter and wetter and wetter, and I thought, what's going on here? And I could see the long reach. So I've stopped. And suddenly, the horizon's going like that. I'm sinking. I'm going, the fuck?
And you took the piss out of that girl last week called U-Boat.
Yeah.
You sound like you're the original you, Pate.
I've still got the picture of this, so I'll have to show you. This car, it sunk so much I couldn't open the fucking door. I was going fuck, right? I was going like that to get the stone out of the way. I managed to get the door open, which is really weird because it's like standing up from a bed that was there. So I've stood up, and the car basically. I spoke to the guy in the long reach. He goes, "Fucking hell, mate, what are you doing here?" I said, "The bloke told me to come here." He goes, "This was fucking pond this morning. I've just filled it in, literally just." Right? And he goes, and I went, "Shit." And he goes, "They had to get a loading shovel and drag me out."
Drag you out.
It was the car had sunk in this.
Days.
That's why operators fucking hate salespeople and think, well, that's why they do. Gavin's going to tell us that. Anyway, we're going to probably jump in. Shall we just start chatting away and welcome Gavin today. We're talking to Gavin Elson. Those of you who have been listening on the podcast and not on YouTube, it ain't Caleb. With his accent, it is Gavin Elson from ETC Training. So if you don't understand what he's saying, then maybe perhaps do get the YouTube channel up with a few subtitles, and it'll be but great to see you, Gavin. Today what we're going to do is we're going to talk to Gavin about everything that's changed in the industry, and get some background in there. But what we normally do is get straight into what's doing me head in, and then after we'll probably get some updates of Charlie's famous construction project, the bungalow, see how far he's got with that and where he is. But so I don't know what's doing your head in this week, Mark.
Do you know what's doing my head in, right? It's been doing my head in for a while, and it probably will continue to do so, right? People that drive in the middle lane and just stay there, or the outside lane and just stay there, and you think that there's nothing there, and you can see the traffic backing up, and you want to like get out the inside lane and join the middle lane, but you can't because matey boy's still in the middle lane and has been for the last 12 miles.
So you one of them wankers that stays in the slow lane, doing like 50 mile an hour, and then
I'm the wanker that undertakes in the slow lane because I get the ump after about 12 miles, which I think's fair enough.
So what's the solution then?
Do you know what it is? The standard of driving has massively gone downhill. People they can't be fucked. And if you speak to them, right, they'll tell you what it was. There's a lorry. The lorry's 6 miles that way. There's a junction coming up. That's another 3 miles. I think that the trouble is, and maybe it's because the UK motorways are busy and quite oversubscribed. People can't be bothered to get in, get out, get in, get out, get in. And to be fair, if you look at the amount of lorry freight on the roads at the moment, you are in and out, in and out. But
then the argument to that is the people that do go in and out, you're then going to say, look at that wanker in and out, thinks he's something special. There's no winning there.
You don't drive like Colin McRae. You go in and you're in for a good few minutes before you got to come out again. But I can imagine you're the outside lane guy, aren't you?
So you don't get behind and like flash your lights and like beat your horn or anything.
I want to get to where I got to get to as quickly as I can. I'm not. I wouldn't say I was. No, I'm not like a speeder, but I do like to stay in one lane. I'm probably one of them people that you bib,
or undertake,
because I want to listen to my podcast. I want to listen to what's going on in the world. I don't want to think about having to go from one lane to another. I just stay. So I am that person.
Oh no!
Yeah. I've probably been stuck behind you. That's what it is.
What about you, Charlie? What's doing your head in?
What's doing my head in? Do you know what? I think the last few weeks they've been. It's been so stressful dealing with tech companies, right? So I don't know if anyone's ever like bought a piece of software or anything like that at all through work. But I've been sort of trying to onboard like some of these tech companies, like getting new bits of software on board, and they absolutely sell you the dream. They know exactly what they're doing. They're asking you all the questions. They're like going through everything that you need. They go and spin it over and say, we can solve this, this, and this. They show you all these demos on Teams and everything. And you ask these questions and they're like, oh, bish, bash, bosh, it's all done. We can do exactly what you want. And then you get the software and it don't do what even they did on the demo. It's like they've sort of they missell it to you. They don't tell you the
As
correct
soon as
information.
You put your name in,
yeah,
this is, you can't do that. Sorry,
exactly. And I just can't understand it. I don't know how they get away with it. I don't know. They say, oh yeah, the onboarding's all great, all the training, everything like that, and it's rubbish. So I have no idea. A lot of them, I think they're just sort of grooming themselves to be sold.
Well, I learned a little bit years ago about procuring software.
Yeah,
this ain't a joke. It was the best thing we ever did, and it was literally getting down a set of questions of what you need it to do.
I agree.
And get them to say yes or no and commit to that.
Yep.
Like literally writing down, yes, we can do it. No, we can't do it. We might be able to do it.
Yeah.
And then do that 3 or 4 times with different companies, and then pick the best one. And then when they say they can do it and they don't do it,
yeah,
make sure there's something in the deal that says,
well,
you're paying for that.
I think you're bang on. I think that's what I've done. But I think that where I've sort of learned is I need to get that in email to them as well. So we've done that on a Teams meeting, and I've said, do you do this, yes or no? And it's basically, yes, we can do this. I'll just show you quick. And it's like, and I think they're so good on the systems as well that they just know how to do it. They just know how to work around it. And then what they sort of fail to tell you is that there's probably like some extension that you have to pay for as well.
You're getting into all that AI and all that, yeah.
No, it's literally, it's a
bit like his building project, isn't it? Yeah. AI. He ain't done fuck all. Someone else has
yeah,
done
exactly. Yeah. Do you know what the summary of this is? I'll tell you now, Charlie. Basically, mate, you've been done.
Yeah, I have, honestly.
Yeah.
But you know what I did? I said, I want a break clause after 3 months. And because they were trying to sign us up for like a 2-year contract. And I said, I want a break clause for 3 months. And we had the break clause pulled out of it. So at least we were all right with that. But
the lesson is never, because it's Charlie's birthday. Do you remember that? 30 years old he was.
Oh, yeah.
Never do any kind of buying and procurement when it's your birthday and you're going on the piss with your mates. I mean, that's always good advice I would give you.
Yeah, I think that's a shout.
What about you, Gavin? Anything doing your head in, mate?
I think the biggest one at the minute is the people pretending to be O2 phone network, trying to phone your ups, trying to flog you the dream of 60% off your bill.
Oh,
getting about 3 or 4 a week. Just constant all the time. Just.
What, and they're not part of the network?
No, it's a scam.
Is it?
Yeah. Get you to give you your email address and then send you a link. You click on the link and.
Well, they're phoning you 3 or 4 times?
3 or 4 times a week, yeah.
I reckon they can't understand you, mate. I think they...
I wind them up. I keep them hanging on the call for about 20 minutes or more.
Yeah. You should try and sell them something. I'll see that scam once
when
people ring up. There was something on the telly, this genius guy, he just started selling them a different scam.
Yeah.
You know? And the guy getting really confused. No, I'm phoning you, mate. No, I think you should try that, Gavin. Try and sell him something.
I follow this guy on YouTube called Scammer Payback in America. And he hacks into their computers.
Oh, yeah, I've seen something like that.
And then he's got them, and he's got the full name, their address, date of birth, everything about them.
Yeah.
And then he literally starts telling them everything about their life. And then he finds them on social media, and then you just see these guys totally backtrack. And then they get really aggressive then.
Quite funny.
Fun. I like things like that.
I don't know if it was you, Mark, that said something a couple of weeks ago, but you said someone, it was either you or someone said that apparently, like, if you get a spam call come through, you almost like should wait for them to talk first and just see whether it's a spam call.
Yes.
Put the phone down.
That's what I was trying to say to you about the AI the other day.
Oh, that was.
It's a dial-up. It's a
Is it only how to clone your voice? How and we're going to have to do a session on this because I saw something absolutely amazing on this this AI conference that I went to. And how long do you think you have to be recorded before they can clone your voice?
I wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah, and the answer is 2 seconds.
No.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, of course I can hear you, mate. Who's that? They've got your voice. Next thing they're doing is ringing your wife saying, oh, in your voice, can you transfer 10 grand into this bank, please, mate? Because
scary.
And also you've got a thing like with like the banks as well, because they ask you to like sort of say your name or something in your voice as well. Obviously, and you know, in order to get through to the bank.
Well, that was the thing. It proved that their AI voice security is now no good.
What, null and void?
Yeah.
Null and void.
Yeah.
Any kind of AI security that's asking you to do that, just don't bother, because it can be a scam. But it was the most amazing thing. They showed you a guy from from, I think it was America's Got Talent or something like that, who had an avatar of Elvis.
Elvis, I saw that. Yeah, it was dead good.
And he's Flemish. He can't speak English, and he can't sing. And as he's speaking into the microphone, the software is taking it, transferring it into text, basically, choosing the dialect that he wanted, which was obviously Elvis's voice and whatever, and then transfers it coming out into Elvis's voice.
They put Cowell's face on at one point, didn't they, as well?
Yeah, and I watched this whole podcast, like on a Teams, it wasn't podcast, this whole seminar, webinar, if you call it, and the guy's there talking to us, and he's doing PowerPoint presentation. And at the end of it, and one of the things he's saying, during it, he's turning around and saying, look, any questions, just put it on the chat, on the Teams chat, text. And as we're asking them questions, he's answering them. And at the end of it, he says, how do you know it's me? And then he splits the screen, and he's sitting in having a cocktail. And the guy we're watching is an avatar of him, and he's just reacting to the questions that are being asked, and plus a little bit of... and he's reading off the slides. It wasn't him at all. It was complete. It was unbelievable software to the point it's really scary.
Yeah,
anyway,
I was going to say it's got its flaws because I was speaking to. I started paying for ChatGPT, and you can speak to it, and it replies to you. And I started speaking to it, and it started replying to me in Welsh.
What?
Yeah. I was like,
well, me and Gavin, I think we'd be fucked because nothing wouldn't be able to answer him or me. So yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah, I never saw you as a Welshman.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's doing my fucking here? I'll tell you what's doing my kit. I call them full kit wankers. Yeah, I've never seen nothing like it in my life. So the Open was, the British Open. Did you get a bit of that? You like a bit of golf?
Yeah, I think I watched some of that. Yeah,
boys like a bit of golf.
Didn't watch it, mate.
Have you ever been to a golf event? Yeah. Any of you actually walked around?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I can't believe the amount of people that are dressed like in full kit. Now you go to a football match, he's got a T-shirt on his shirt, hasn't he? But that's what he's got on. Liverpool shirt, Arsenal shirt, that's what he's got on. But these people, they've got full kit. I mean, they've got the golf shirt, the golf trousers, and the golf shoes.
And they're not even playing.
It's unbelievable.
So funny.
It's
Sounds a
like
bit like
turning
Lama.
up. Imagine turning up to the fucking races at Ascot and you're wearing a jockey's fucking uniform with your mates. You don't see it, do you?
No.
And I can't see it. They're walking around as if they fucking are the golfers. And it's like, look at me, I fucking... Because I'm wearing the gear, I know that was a good shot or a bad shot. Yeah. And they're having an opinion, and they're all standing around in groups to say, look at... It's a bit like the cyclists, isn't it? My pet 8, which is the Tour de France kind of cyclist that everyone thinks they're, when they're on the road and they're going 3 or 4, you're trying to get down a country lane. And, a bit like that. Yeah. But I've never thought it would come into golf. And honestly, the people I saw, the golf shoes done it for me. Why do you need a set of golf shoes walking around watching someone? Well,
I've seen something like that, right? A friend of ours, you're a member, he's retired now, but he said to me, come to this show in Detling called Military Odyssey, right? He said there's shows there, there's all take the kids, all this stuff, right? So I'd never been before, and I said, we'll do it. It's only like last August, a year ago, right? Gone to this Military Odyssey, massive queue to get in, right? I'm in the queue, and a mate of mine was there, and I turned around to him, I said, what's this all about, right? And I kid you not, just as you said, there were people in the queue look like they're about to go to the Gaza Strip, right? They got all the Delta Force on. They got like guns over there. Well, they're probably fake guns, but they got guns over their shoulders and that. They got all belts on with all clip-on action stuff. And I honestly, I turned around and I said, look, I get that people might be into it, but these guys look like they're going to go and do a full assault on the Gaza Strip. I said, what is that about? And it was really hot, it was really hot. And we're walking around, and every now and again, I just had to keep looking, thinking, what's that all about? You do. And same as... But
they had the full camouflage on, did they?
Full camouflage, right?
Some of them even
went...
surprised you even recognised them.
and the paint on the face, had the paint on the face, some of them got a beret on.
Wow.
And all that, and you think, Sergeant Bilko here, you know what I mean?
What we're going to try and do today is get into Gavin, find out. Thanks for coming in, Gavin. We're going to talk about operators today. So I think we should just start off with like a bit of background. Obviously, I met you years ago when you was an operator.
Yeah.
And then now you're training operators, which is always good to see. It's something we spoke about many times on the pod at the moment, is about the lack of people coming into the industry. A little stat like
the shortfall,
7.3 people leaving and only 6.2 or something coming in every year. Percent of that, a whole 1% of the industry just goes. So, look, first of all, just give us a bit of background about how you started in the industry and how you got to where you are now.
So, I think really goes back to school. I left school 9 months. My dream was to actually go into the Marines, following one of my relatives' footsteps and go into the Marines. Didn't work out in the end, but my brother-in-law and my sister had a groundworks company. So we left school straight in, labouring, just as a general dog's body. Started operating the dumper, the roller. Every time my brother-in-law buggered off site to go to the merchants, I'd jump on the digger and have a faff about with it. And one day he turned up and he looked at me and he had a face on him like thunder, because I'm sat on the digger and I should be digging a footing out ready to underpin it, and I'm thinking, oh fuck, I'm in trouble now, like. And he never said a word. The next morning comes in, do you know how to check the engine oil on that digger? I said, yeah. He says, go and check the digger over and bring it over here to me. Before I knew it, I was driving the machine. Just the basics of just picking the arm up, tracking it from A to B, then he'd jump on, he'd dig for the daylight, and I'd just go back to my labouring duties. And then before you know it, just doing that basic movement of lifting the arm up, placing it down, tracking it around, doing your checks on it. Before you know it, you become quite fluent with the controls and what the controls did. And then it was some time later, I moved up to Yorkshire and I worked for a guy, and he was desperate for someone to level some topsoil with the machine. I just said, I'll do that for you if you want. He said, yeah, all right. Then he stood behind me watching me, and he paid for my first MPAWS ticket. So I had a first MPAWS traditional ticket. I was about 18. And then when I came back down from Yorkshire back to the Midlands to live, and I ended up doing my CPCS sort of around about 2010. I was on MPAWS until that point. It was a bit of a gamble really for me, really, that doing the CPCS, because it could have been a make or bust sort of scenario for me as an operator, but I did it, I passed it, and I've never been out of work since. So it was all to do with that, starting young, working for the brother-in-law, getting ripped a new arsehole every day because you've done something wrong and just, treated like absolute shit. But I look back and I think, well, do you know what? You learnt a lot, because you were forced into that sort of environment, and we didn't really have a choice. It was get out of bed, you go into work. Simple as that.
I think that's what I've noticed as well. That the companies like you've worked for, like they're kind of close knit. They've got to get a job done. Everyone mucks in. Yeah. It seems like the best operators come out of that, because they can make a mistake.
Yeah.
Compared to like the big contractors who just want the shiny operator and they won't give anyone a chance. What do you think needs to change in the industry to get younger people the experience?
I think obviously the red card, blue card system. Red obviously being your trained operator, you pass your test, you get your red card. Supposed to go and spend at least a minimum of 6 months before doing your MVQ. You got operators out there who were doing MVQs. I had a guy contact me 18 months ago. I'd done his dumper and roller 12 months previous. He got dumper, roller, telehandler, and he's on the phone to me. He says, I want to do this now. And I said, what is it you want to do? He says, I need to do my MVQ for the digger. I said, well, when did you pass your digger? He said, Friday. I went, call me in 12 months' time and I'll do your MVQ. I said, I'm not doing it, it's too soon. He says, you're not ready for it? Oh yeah, I am, I'm ready for it. I said, well, how many categories you got now? He said, I've got 10 categories now. I said, mate, you only had 3 last year. He says, yeah, but all them are on blue. There's this frenzy of going straight to blue with a lot of the operators, and they're so inexperienced, and I think it's the industry what's done it. So then you've got like your main contractors. We all know who they are. Some of them will say, yeah, we'll take a red card on. Some of them are saying, no, we won't take red cards, blue cards only. You get some people who are coming through the training, they do the tests, and then they're saying to me afterwards, Gav, I can't get a start. I got a guy that I taught when I was working for a local college up to me, did his dumper roller with me, did his digger that he paid for himself, working on the ground, driving the plant, and he's just literally, he's in and out of work. People just will not give him a chance.
Yeah,
He's got to learn.
When we first met, it was around that time we were getting behind the apprenticeships and bringing apprentices in. And I remember when we advertised that we were doing apprentices, and a contractor that won't be named, but a major contractor in the industry, rang us up because we were a customer, they were a customer of ours, and said, look, I've got a couple of young lads here, be great. Obviously family members, could you get them through that apprenticeship? And we said, yeah, great, brilliant. And them days it was CITB at Bircham.
Yeah.
And it was exactly that. They'd done everything, roller, telehandler, excavator, and get their red card. Everyone's delighted. Ring them back up and say, right, we've got these couple of apprentices you gave us. We've taken them on, and got them through the training. When can they come on site with you? And the bloke turned and said, well, we can't take them, mate. They're not experienced enough. It's like, how do we...
Giving someone a lift and pulling them straight down?
Yeah. In my experience, it's like you've got a couple of issues here. You've got contractors that don't want kids from school until they're 18 on site.
Yeah.
So you've got people coming not able to go into an apprenticeship. So they'll choose another apprenticeship outside the industry because they can go in there at 16 and not stay on to school to 18. And then you've got those that do it that then can't get, as you say, can't get a start. Do you think, I'm going to be a bit controversial here, but I've always thought this. Do you think the CIS has got a lot to do with that rather than a direct employment? So, like, how operators don't seem to get the time because they're doing a little bit, and then but if you was if you was fully full-time employed as an employer, you would find that person some training to do or doing something, would you not? I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I agree with what you're saying with the CIS. I think the biggest issue you've got is people are very hand-to-mouth still in the construction industry. So regardless of what training they've done, they're trying to push this this thing of, I need to get the blue as quick as I can because I stand a better chance of getting a job, no matter whether I'm good or whether I'm shit. This said guy that I was talking to you about a few minutes ago, he was, I just point blank refused to do his MVQ because morally I've got to do my duty and just say, look, you just.
So there's trainers out there that will push people to a blue straight away.
100%.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Social media's full of them.
There seems to be the last couple of years, and I think this is probably a log that's fueling it.
Yeah.
There's been a lot about people plant interface.
Yeah.
And I think some of the major contractors, we've got to a situation now where they want to be white and white. They want to be clean. They don't want no accidents. And do you think that one of the biggest troubles or challenges about putting someone with a red card on a site is that they're so frightened of the people planting to face an accident or the possibility of an accident, even a near miss, that if you look at what they're doing now, right? They want all these gadgets on excavators, right, to mitigate risk. Yeah. The challenge I think the industry's got, and I'd be interested in your opinion on this, is having a red card another risk.
So I was having a conversation with a guy, and I think this will answer your question. The conversation I had with a fella about sort of 6 months ago led into a bit of an argument, quite a heated debate. And this guy says to me, sick and tired of you trainers. He says, all you're doing is you're just inviting people on these training courses. They're paying their hard-earned cash. They're getting the ticket. He says, the next thing you notice, they're out on site. He said, whatever happened to the guy that used to learn off his uncle and his dad and, how it used to be many years ago? He said, they don't allow that to happen anymore, the person to learn on site. And I says to this guy, I said, but that guy's still there. He says, no, he's not. I said, he is. I said, but now there's a difference. So the difference now is that we were allowing people to jump on plant. I was one of them. Jump on plant, operate it willy-nilly. You have an accident, they might take a few quid out your pay packet, you might get a clip round the ear off the old boy at the end of the day. and if you behave yourself, you might end up with a 10 pence mix at the end of the week. These guys are saying, I want these people that used to learn off the parents and their uncles and brothers and whoever. I say, right, well, we're allowing people to go and operate plants based on, look, he's going to learn off that family relative or that family friend or whoever. So what we'll do then, let's be really clever about it. Let's give them a very bare, basic amount of training. Let's make them pass a very bare, basic test. And then we can put them on site with a red card when they can go and learn. And that was the whole process of doing your course, passing your test, getting your red card. And then having that red card then allowed you, look, okay, I've now had some training, I've now passed some test, I can go and learn now. And then I've got a 2-year period to do my MVQ, to get my hours, as many hours as I can on a machine. And then an assessor can come out and I can go through the assessment process and be deemed competent, convert it to a blue card. Even after 2 years, after 5 years, you might get a guy who's working in a quarry, loading dump trucks.
Yeah, he's not done the batters on.
He's not done batters.
Yeah,
he's not cut footings.
But by the sounds of what you're saying, then, it really is that we have got a load of red card people on site, but they're actually blue cards because they've bypassed that 12 months or 6 months, and they've gone straight to blue.
Yeah.
So we've really just fudged the system.
Absolutely, and it's happening all the time.
But it's because it's led by the end user, isn't it? Because the end user doesn't want a red. Let's be honest. Let's call it as it is. The end user doesn't want a red card.
Industry as well.
So these guys are panicking. I can't have a red card. I still ain't going to get no work on a red card.
Yeah.
So what, in my mind, do you think that it would be really useful if the industry found specific jobs or tasks that were for red card only operators?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and then said, here's a battering job, as you said.
Yeah.
We're gonna.
Well, how would you categorise that? How would you make that work then, Gavin? That's a good question there, Mark, about the get red card jobs as such.
Yeah. So I mean, look, you've got digging out a pond, stick you next to an operator who is cutting the batters on the pond, get you horsing out the middle. The problem is to be sure of that person's doing that job correctly, because there's obviously a cost element. If they start going wrong, they start digging material out that they shouldn't be digging out. That's money. It's diesel burns, it's wages gone, and there's a cost element of re-putting that right. If you can afford to have someone in the seat doing that, where you want them to learn, then yeah, great. But what we used to do when I was at a previous employment, we used to have guys, and we'd have them in, and I'd go and put them on the training centre. I'd have them cutting batters, so I'd build a pile so there was a batter for them to cut. I'd show them how to do it. I'd get them pulling corners with the machine. So look, this is how we cut a corner with the digger. This is how you've got to position your bucket for that reason. Just because your spray line's there doesn't mean that you haven't. You doesn't mean you start digging there. You go slightly past because you've got to lay the sides of the bucket. It's about tips and tricks and having that one person who understands. Look, how do we do this? And this is how we do it. I want you to learn how I do it. And the biggest issue we've got at the minute is industry. When the industry is busy and it's flat out and it's 100 mile an hour, operators are in such demand that they will accept a red card. But then they're just giving them any old job to do, and you get the odd lad, look, who's naturally gifted and talented, and you get on a machine and he can make his own way. But then you're going to get the one guy who's like really conscious of, what if I make a mistake and I'm down the road at the end of the week?
Well, one of my questions was going to be about technology changes, so I'll jump straight into that. Now, my understanding of machine control was exactly what you said there. So it would stop people from over-digging.
Yeah.
And taking muck out sites, for those who don't understand. And then all you're doing is bringing soil back in, which is a cost. So if you over-dig, this is what you probably did wrong in your bungalow, Joe. Yeah. Oh no, sorry, you didn't. You're operator.
I didn't do anything.
No, you got soil into it.
Yeah, nothing. But so, is that not the case? I thought that the technology was there to can I say maybe a bad word, but to de-skill it slightly. So therefore, you're giving someone an extra tool. So a younger person coming in who would make that mistake is now so So, what do you think about that machine control? All we do now is see it on big projects. We don't really see it as a standard, do we?
So there's a difference. You've got machine control, you've got guidance.
Yeah.
So guidance is obviously on the screen showing you, well, this is where I should be digging. This is where I should be digging to, how deep, where, the model of what it is that I'm actually creating. And then you've got guidance. So you've got some systems out there that is like a semi-automatic guidance where you've got one lever, you'll pull the one lever back, and the other one you'll just flick a button but not actually do anything with the lever, and it will just do it all for you. Then you've got dozers. It's easy with dozers in terms of automatic. There's some operators out there who are not the automatic off because I want to control what the machine is doing. I don't want a machine doing it for me because there's lots of factors to take into consideration, like bucket wear, positioning. Is it connected up to the right amount of satellite systems? You know what I mean? There's so many factors that could go really wrong in terms of your GPS systems. Is it de-skilling it? No, I don't think it is.
No, but isn't it giving people the support that maybe they need? I mean, I'm just looking at my point of view. If I had just learnt something, I've learnt to drive, and I'm going to reverse into a space. A few years ago, you'd have to have a few goes at that. But now you've got a camera system that supports that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It tells you exactly where you are.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm by using that tool, I've upskilled myself.
Yeah.
And eventually, I won't use it, will I?
Yeah.
But do you see what I'm trying to get to? Is that not an opportunity? Therefore, shouldn't manufacturers maybe fit that kind of guidance or machine control as a standard on their machines? Would that help the young people coming in?
There's
or
a lot of manufacturers who are already delving down that route.
Yeah.
In terms of the GPS itself, the GPS really is guidance. It's there just to say, look, this is where you should be. It's still down to you to sort of perform the task.
But it's better than being blind, isn't it?
Of course it is, 100%, yeah. I love GPS. I think GPS is absolutely incredible. The first time I ever used it, I was amazed at how accurate and good it was. But, there's lots of factors that can make it go wrong and make the operator look bad in terms of, cutting edge wear.
Yeah.
You have to factor that in because when you calibrate your bucket, if you've been digging a particular type of material and over a period of time that bucket's just got worn and you could be inches out in terms of where you should be.
Yeah.
But de-skilling, no, I think it only ever complements a really good operator. It shows a highly skilled operator. You got the safety element as well.
So what's the so we've got the problem. Red card, blue card, whatever, inexperience is what it is. And it seems to me that the only time you get to play on an excavator, let's say that you got the opportunity to do with your family, is when you're actually doing your training in your training school.
Yeah.
Do we need that kind of facility so people can just turn up and have a go? Or how do they get their hours in then? What's the answer? Do you know?
The hours, how you get your hours in is basically, in some circumstances, it can be sheer luck, where you've been sent to a job, the foreman's gone, okay, look, we'll do it, we'll get you set up on a machine and I'll look after you sort of thing, and I'll show you the way. And I've been subject to that myself over the years, where I've met some decent foremen and I've met some absolute clowns as well who just will not give you the time of day.
But do you think, right, and all of you, because not, in this, so when you do, part of winning a tender on a job, on a major project, is that you are going to bring so many apprentices in. But not all these operators go through like an apprenticeship scheme. Some of them train on their own, don't they, and and get their red card.
Yeah.
Do you think it should be made mandatory then that along lumped up with apprentices, that major contractors or contractors have to take on a percentage of red carders and get them through to blue by the end of that project?
Yeah, 100%, definitely. But it needs to be controlled, and that's where your issue is, because people are just, look at the foreman now on big projects like HS2. Some of them are just so busy, they haven't got time to police what these young guys are doing.
But this challenge leads on to something that's a question that's always been on my mind, and it goes hand in hand with what we're discussing. If you're an operator
Yeah.
And obviously, you could probably loosely categorise all what they do: deep drainage, loading lorries,
Yeah.
grading. You could batters. You could grade the
Yeah.
different tasks. Yeah. So, how does an operator get good or get skilled at these tasks?
Doing it.
But this is the challenge, isn't it? So
Yeah.
there's two sides to this. Doing it, he won't let me do it because I'm on a red card.
Yeah.
Or the other challenge is I'm on a job that's just loading lorries, and the last one was as well, and the one before, and the next one is.
Yeah.
So how does that guy get to? So it almost seems unfair, doesn't it? And I suppose a point to add to this is we've often discussed how hard it is getting youth to come into the industry.
Yeah.
So what we're saying, let's just be clear here. What we're saying is, you can be an excavator operator, but I don't know what you're going to end up learning. It depends on what the government project is.
I generally think that, especially with excavators, we've had this argument with CIS for years, yeah? This is just my opinion. And I get that not everyone should have the right to be self-employed.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between having the right to be self-employed and being made to be self-employed.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's wrong. And for years and years, all we're really doing is trying to keep the cost down. To pay the operator, not have to pay the national insurance, not have to pay redundancies out. And so it's a great way for the contractors and the plant hire companies just to pick and choose. But you're never going to get anyone of experience if you're just giving him a week's work and then pushing him onto something else. You need a system that says, the big plant hire companies, operator plant hires in this country, they are always doing the same thing, trying to find more and more operators.
Yeah.
Why don't you take them on? Charge the customer more money because it's PAYE. If everyone did it, then you'd all be on a level playing field. And I remember a certain company owner saying to me once, well, we would do it and we would prefer to do it that way, but only if everyone else did it.
Yeah.
So therefore, don't we need to make the industry have to do that with operators? That's the answer. As a young person or someone who wants to change their career, I could be 20, 30 years old, I would want to go into that industry if I knew that I was employed.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to fucking do that
if you've got a week's work up the road.
Work.
Yeah.
And all it sets as well as a precedence where you can't, as you said, you can't get people. And then people are saying, like, I'll read the forums, I'm £15 an hour, mate, you're having a laugh. I'm getting £20, I've got 2 weeks work up the road for 22, and you're like, mate, then you've got 2 weeks of no work.
Yeah.
So you're actually on £11 an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't get it, do they?
No.
But I don't know what the answer is, but that's my frustration.
The element of that industry, what's done that really as a whole, getting to the point where you know what it's like in operating plants. At least two of you are from that sort of background. Operating plant is not sustainable paying high rates at a self-employed rate of pay. It's not geared up for it. By the time you've only got to have something go wrong with the machine, and everything you've earned that week, it's gone in it. There's no profit left in it. Now, in terms of the operators, a lot of guys are coming through, and they're here, and they're like, oh well, I've got my red card now, and I want this much money, and I'm like, look, you might not get it. And he's like, well, I ain't going to work then, I'll just sit on the sofa. My attitude there was, well, you'll be sitting on the sofa then, because if you come into this game where people are very sharp and abrupt, and you think you're going to get away with having such a bolshy attitude when you are learning, you've got no hope of anybody giving you a chance, because they'll look at that and go, well, up yours, mate. If that's your attitude, I'm not going to help you in any way, shape or form.
What was the hardest thing you left from being with your groundworking family business, because obviously we met and you was working for Lynch Plant at the time. So what was the difference, and what experiences did you get on site that was really, you give advice, to people? Would you do anything different, or have you seen,
Definitely shut up. Listen to what people are telling you. Be very open and honest. Don't go on there and be Johnny Big Balls. It'll backfire very quickly, because like for me now as a trainer tester, I can see within a couple of minutes whether someone's got a natural talent for operating a machine. You're going to get some guys where, look, it takes a little bit more time to sort of develop, and you've just got to give time. Time is the greatest gift that anyone can ever give themselves, that ability. But also be prepared to get stuck in. I've always been one, and there's a lot of training providers up and down the country that will agree with me, and there's some that will disagree. I don't think anyone should be able to sit a digger course unless they've had a minimal amount of time actually on the ground learning. Well, this is how we do things. This is how we dig. This is how we use the laser level on the trench when you're guiding the driver. Do you know what I mean? And it's
interesting you say that, because I won't name the plant hire company, but I thought it was very interesting when they'd had a bad experience with apprentices. A lot of apprentices don't make it through.
Yeah.
And they now only look for people that have probably worked on a site.
Yeah.
Or been in that environment, maybe labouring or whatever, because that's the first to hurdle out the way, isn't it?
I think that sort of leads me on to what I was going to ask in terms of, like, if you were, a kid that was just leaving school, I mean, what are the steps that someone would take to get into the industry? If you were to lay it down black and white, what are those ideal steps that people will take?
So
you've one of our questions that was written in, Charlie, was exactly that. I'm interested in a construction operator.
I actually wrote
what kind of training and certificates do I need to acquire the qualification for this role? So great question there.
There you go.
So first and foremost, I'll advise anyone who wants to work on a UK construction site, download the CITB Health, Safety and Environment app. Start learning.
And just for the listeners as well, can I just clarify what CITB is?
Construction Industry Training Board.
Okay.
So you got the touchscreen app, which is anyone who goes on a UK construction site should have an in-date health, safety, and environment test. You then, if you're brand new to it, you're supposed to go and sit the one-day health and safety course, which just basically drums into you about safety and which fire extinguisher you should be using, and it just covers these very basic eventualities.
And can you find that health safety course information? Can you find that on the CITB website, or would you have to go and search for others?
Most training providers offer it, really. So really, you can have a look on the CITB website, but you want to be Googling the training providers and getting. I mean, they're scattered all over the country, and the country's thick of them. There's a lot of them there. Get the health and safety one-day course in, get the health and safety and environment test done. It's 28 quid. 28 quid to go and earn what a labourer's on now. What, 15 quid an hour a labourer on is the average rate? It's bloody good money.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The one-day health and safety course, I think it's probably about 150 to 200 quid, depending where you are up and down the country. So for that little bit of investment of, say, 220, 250 quid, you've got yourself a career as a labourer.
Wow.
It's as quick and easy as that. And 250 quid to some people, it's like, well, that's a week's money to some people. But is it? It's an investment in it. You've got to invest into yourself. In terms of the plant, again, there's many schemes that you can go on. Like I say, I think everyone should go and do that. Go and get your health, safety, environment test done. Go and get yourself on site. Do some sweeping up. Just become aware of the surroundings of a construction site and the dangers that there are, and listen to the task briefings, listen to what people are telling you. The biggest issue I find on sites nowadays is people aren't actually looking at the method statements. They're just going in there and just going, oh, sign on the dotted line, mate, and they're not actually looking what details in there.
I know what I'm doing.
That's a court of law job, that is, mate. You'll get caught doing something wrong.
So you go through your safety, great advice, you got through that. So what I'm interested in, leading on from Charlie's question, is like what you said there about what qualifications now, because there's so many now. You said, what's your advice? Does it matter or? Yeah.
So in construction industry, so for plants in particular, which is obviously my field, I operate on two different schemes. So I operate on CPCS, which is formerly owned by the CITB, now owned by the NLCN Group. And that's CPCS, that's Construction Plant Competence Scheme. You've also got MPAWS, which is, we had a discussion briefly earlier about MPAWS National Plant Operator Registration Scheme. So I'm a training provider for MPAWS. I love MPAWS. I think it's a great scheme. It's run by great people. They're easy to talk to. You can actually phone them up and go, I've got a problem with this, and it's sorted there and then. It's a very user-friendly interface, the business is. Biggest issue I find with MPAWS is just not enough monitoring. And I think that's where they're always going to kind of struggle. But again, there's that element of robbing Peter to pay Paul to warrant the cost of another monitor to go and monitor the test that's going on.
Can I just add to that?
Yeah.
Why is it, because for the listeners and for me as well, it's a question for me as well, why is it that I find that the contractors now favour, when they're looking at operators' cards, they favour the CPCS, they don't favour the MPAWS? People come, and it's wrong, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because there's both. If people say, I've got an MPAWS card,
Yeah.
and they say, we're sorry mate, we only accept CPCS. Why is that, and what could MPAWS do to even that?
So, they've been working extremely hard, to be fair to them. MPAWS, say a few years back, didn't have the CSCS logo on the cards like that CPCS has got. So when you get like your big UK construction contractors were saying, look, we want the CSCS logo on the card. That was the main factor in it, was having that logo. The other issue is some of these contractors are paying into levy schemes and drawing from levy schemes, so they kind of favour that scheme because they can draw in and off that scheme in terms of training their own guys and stuff like that. So that was a lot of where the favouritism come. So I had a guy that once, he was saying to me about, he said, MPAWS is a terrible scheme. He said, it's shocking. And I was just like, why is it shocking? He said, I said, before they re-mandated the training, it was a few years ago where CPCS deregulated all the training. It was only really the test that was regulated. So now we can have an EQA, external quality assurance, turn up and actually monitor you training as well as testing. But a few years back that wasn't the case, whereas MPAWS were. You had to book the training, you had to book the test. So a 10-day 360 course on MPAWS was a mandatory 10-day course for a novice. You could reduce that down if it was like a one novice to one machine and one instructor. Then you've got on the CPCS element of it, because it was deregulated, it has changed now, it's re-regulated now. You would have the guys who were rocking up, 5-day course, turn up on a Monday morning. First half of the day they'd be learning the theory, second half of that day they'd be learning the pre-operational checks. Then you're on to the Tuesday. The Tuesday then you're learning how to use the controls. Then on the Wednesday you're digging. You're digging your trenches, you're digging your box. Repeating that on the Thursday. On the Friday you've got your theory test and your practical test. So by the time you actually got down to the bare bones of it, you was only getting like 3 and a bit days of training. Of actual hard, solid training. Yeah. And that's if you didn't have any additional candidates. And I always used to scratch my head thinking, well, how's that right? How can you turn around and say, look, we are the Rolls Royce of construction training, but yet you're giving someone the very bare bones of time on the machine to actually go and learn it. I'm finding now as well, there's a lot of instructors who are coming through who have 2, 3, 4 years as an operator, not 10, 15, 20 as it should be. And I rock up sometimes to some of these sites and I'm like, mate, if you just do this little technique and you'll find it's better. And they go, oh yeah, I never thought of it doing it that way. And it is better, isn't it? And I've had guys in their 50s and 60s who have actually listened to the advice that I've given them, especially on the loader Secura. Listen to the advice and they've all gone, do you know what, I've learned something today. And I'm like, that's because it's experience. It's all right me saying, look, this is what the standard says I should tell you, and this is what the standard says that I should show you what to do. But what I'm doing now is I'm actually going to show you that, plus a few little techniques to make it safer, to make it easier, to make you look like a more appealing operator to the industry that you're about to step yourself into.
And that leads me on to another question, if you don't mind. If you're an operator and you fancied getting into a niche, i.e. utilities,
deep
rail,
drainage,
what's your advice for people listening that perhaps maybe have a ticket, but they want to go into rail? What's the best route to do that, and what should they learn? Is there something they should learn or get into before they
get on the ground? Get on the ground. It's the best thing. Anyone who wants to get into construction plant, get on the ground first, learn what's going on under the ground. The issue that we find with what we're doing as machine drivers is most of our work's buried. We don't see it again. Once it's finished, it's done. Everything that's important that is deemed expensive, like footings and drainage, is underneath the earth. Go and get on the ground and try and get in with these construction companies and just say, look, I'm going to pay for my course. If I do pay for my course, I've shown will. I've turned up every day. I work hard. I don't trap off. Or, do everything you ask of me to do. I wear all the right PPE, and just be very forthcoming with the direction that you want to go in. Not just try and hide behind a machine and just sit there and play on your phone all day like a lot of the young kids do. Don't listen to everything you see on social media. Everyone's an expert, and a lot of them have never done it. That would be probably my biggest thing for you.
That's the truth there,
Yeah.
Actually, I was trying not to smile there. It's true, actually, isn't it? Everyone's an expert. No one's done it.
Yeah.
It's true, yeah.
I'm just interested, going in breaking these steps down again. So just going back to the, getting on the ground, that sort of thing. So then what's next after that? So if I want to go out and operate plant machinery, so I've downloaded the app, I've gone onto the website.
So you've done your touch screen. You've got through that. You've achieved that. If you haven't, just keep applying to do the test again through the Pearson View. CPCS have now got their own version of the same test. MPOLs have got their version as well. Depends on what scheme you decide to go with. I always opt for the Pearson View test, because with the Pearson View test I can do MPOLs and CPCS with a CSCS logo card.
Okay.
Whereas if I do the MPOLs one, I can only do an MPOLs test with the CSCS logo.
Right.
If I do the NOCN one, which is your CPCS, I can only do their version to get that CSCS logo added onto the card. CPCS have just released a new card as well. It's a skilled plant operator card. What it does is you don't need a health, safety and environment test. So if you've got an engineer, for instance, or a wagon driver who needs to do his loader securer, who needs to do his plant driver or plant mover, depending on which scheme you're on, but doesn't actually need to go on site. He's delivering depot to depot, but you still want him to have some training. The MPOR's traditional card is a great option. And then you've also got the new CPCS version, which is without the CSCS logo, and it's just a bare bones test and sort of 24 question theory, so sort of multiple choice rather than a 40 question.
Okay.
So how does someone get those routes, those traditional routes that you found?
Yeah.
How does someone get employed now? Let's talk about the different options there. Agencies, for example, we've all heard horror stories about agencies.
100%. I'd go down the agency route if I was coming into it, because it's the best opportunity to get your feelers out there, get on a variety of projects, and that's where you start to seriously learn. I mean, you could be on a rail job one week, working on a track visitors permit. Oh, I'll go and do my PTS now. So then you'll start researching your providers for your PTS. You go and get that done, and then you might go and go, do you know what? I quite fancy going working in a quarry, and the agency find you. Do you want to go and work in the quarry for us? Yeah, I'll go and work in the quarry for you, mate. But try and get yourself out and do a variety of work, and just be good at everything rather than a master at one thing, because then you stand a better chance of keeping yourself in a machine and in that working environment. And that was where I always said to myself, I don't just want to be stale. I don't want to be in one place. I want to be able to have that ability to jump around and just, can I go and drive a dozer today? Yeah, I'll go and drive a dozer today. Can I go and jump on a duck? Yeah, I'll jump on a duck. Jump on a roller? Yeah, I'll jump on a roller. I'm not bothered. It's better than a shovel.
So inevitably we have to stop for 5 minutes or so and for our sponsors keep us going. So PAR for one of their sponsors. I've worked with PAR for a number of years, and as I've said before, I feel they've been a major part of our business growth strategy. One
of the key things for me is obviously when you look at other businesses, they specialise in every sector. They don't have any. There's no niche. The great thing for me is PARF is the niche for our industry. The people that they've got on the books are for our industry. The vacancies that they have are for our industry. So for me and for anybody else dealing with PARF, it is the go-to place for the construction and plant hire industry.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate the comments there, guys, and absolutely right. We that's our specialist. That's all we deal with. So we've been, established for the last 20 plus years, and ultimately we've got hundreds of clients that use us that keep coming back, and that's because we keep filling the roles. We've got a team of 13 people that are all very, very well trained and very, very knowledgeable in the industry, and ultimately, that's our bread and butter. That's what we do.
I remember we worked with a guy, I think you guys know him, a guy called Dave Brooker, and he won't mind me saying his name.
I spoke to him yesterday.
But funny. Yeah. So this is an operator, an old school operator. He's I don't know how old Dave is now. He's got to be nearly 70 years old.
He was a trainer at one point, wasn't he?
He was a trainer.
Yeah.
But the first phone call I ever had with him was I took a call from him, and he said, I've got to leave site, my old mate. And I said, what's that? He said, I broke my leg. I went, fucking broke your leg? What do you mean you broke your leg? I said, I'll tell you something, you don't sound that much in pain for breaking your leg. He was going, no, I've snapped it right off. I'm like, what do you mean you've snapped it right off? And it turns out he's got a wooden leg, isn't he? He's fucking snapped the whole thing, the foot off on the ankle. It was the most surreal thing I'd ever heard from an operator. And he just went and got his spare one and come back to work.
Yeah. Wow. Do you know what? To be fair, because I'll never forget. We put him on a job, and obviously you got the 2 foot pedals and all that, haven't you? And he's obviously, fair play to him. He's got a technique to do whatever he does. And I remember we put him on a job, and I remember the customer rang me up and he said, "Mark, your operator's turned up, done the induction, all that kind of thing." I said, "All right." He said, "He's only got one leg," and I went, "Oh yeah, Dave. Yeah, I know. Yeah." He said, "Yeah, we're a bit worried about, I said, "Just put him in a machine.
Shut up and get on with it.
And let you ring me back, because he's very good. He'll, as I used to say, he'll grade the crumbs off your tablecloth and leave the tablecloth behind, Yeah. And they rang me back about half an hour. Went, he's really good, isn't he?
Yeah. The trouble is, the excavator's only going one direction. He's going right all the time.
We had a guy some years back who'd lost his arm in a screener. He got a half end house brick stuck in the rear drum of the conveyor, and he said he was rushing around because he'd got to get this topsoil delivered to site, and it was his own screen, his own wagon. Put his arm in, released the half ender, took his arm in. And in the end it got up to there, and he had to pull back, and he lost his arm. And I've never seen a bloke smile so much. He's just constantly happy all the time. And he says to me the one day, he says,
he's got to get a wanker for someone else now, hasn't he?
Yeah. Right there. He says to me, "I can drive that machine, I can." I looked at him and went, "Fuck off." He says, "I'm telling you now." He says, "I can drive that machine as good as you." I went, "Fuck off." He says, "I'm telling you." He says, "Get in." So I get out, chucks him the key. This guy gets in. Bearing in mind, he's got nothing here, it's off at his shoulder. And he's like this with his one arm. And he's loading his own wagon. He says, "I load my own wagons every day." He says, "I have to." He said, "It's all about survival." He says, just adapting to be able to do something. And I learnt a lot from him that day. And I'm thinking, well, if I can adapt to an environment and to just carry on and not just sit there with my hands in my pockets and go, "Well, I ain't doing that because I don't know how to do it," and just playing an issy fit face on you. And I learnt a lot of him. And he just constantly happy, and he was just dead funny as well. He's just, his personality really shone. And he said, well, when I lost my arm, he said I had the chance of either sitting on the dole and living my days out just sitting on my arse, or making myself into something. And the guy's a millionaire now because he's just constantly just gone to work. Yeah.
Fair play to him.
Yeah,
it's inspiring, that is, actually.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Mark's the statistician of us, supposedly. Either way, knows everything.
Well, I've pre-prepared, and none of you, so just because obviously you're the guest, so that you're aware, none of these know what the quiz is this week. In fact, even I don't know yet, because I've got quite a few to choose from.
He's that knowledgeable, and he'll do it in a format. When I said to him scientifically how much work has Charlie done on his bungalow, he said, well, by the square metre, if he times it by the amount of cube that's come out, he said, fuck all.
And he was right.
The minute you move in, it becomes hard to do.
Yeah.
because
Well-
you're working
Yeah.
around your.
Well, the old man told me that he fucking better move in the weekend, otherwise, when he comes home, he would have been moved. They're thinking about moving and not telling him.
yeah. I'll never forget. This will make you laugh. I'll never forget. I was about 17 and was working in Dixon's. You remember that? And a mate of mine, he'd had a row with his dad, and I think he'd made the mistake of threatening him with some shears out of the garden shed or something like that. So we used to. His house was on the way to Dixon's, so from mine, I used to walk to his. He'd come out, and the pair of us would walk to work. So on the way home, on reverse, I'd walk to his, and then back to mine. Honestly, I couldn't believe it. It's like something out of a comedy movie, right? We finished our shift. We're walking back home, and on the front garden, I kid you not, as we're walking up, he's going to me, "What the fuck?" I'm going, "Yeah, what is that?" Right? His dad had basically recreated his bedroom on the front garden. His bed, his little bookshelf, right? All his stuff was everything as it was in his room was now as it on his front garden. His dad had kicked him out. He said, "There you go. This is your bedroom now."
See, I
I thought you were going to say you
happens.
found him sleeping in the store cupboard or something simple like that, but that's a great story. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you what was great was all the neighbours, right, all standing out the street looking at it as he was walking up. And I don't know what the outcome of that was. I think he had to sort of do a deal with his dad. But funny enough, he never threatened him with the shears again.
Yeah, so I think the quiz goes, it's normally a point and answer. We've got to get the top 5,
Right, okay.
out of whatever. And we'll just name our top 5. Are we going to write this down? So there's no cheating?
Yeah.
I don't know if we've got pens or anything.
I can write your answers down here, and then we'll get a board.
Okay, we'll get a board one day when we get the budget to buy a board.
So I'm just going to note the names now.
Last time Charlie was fucking useless. I even give him the answer, and he forgot the answer. I even give it to him.
Right, so I've got.
I said to him, "What's the biggest manufacturer in the world, of machinery?" And I said, "You can buy their shoes and everything else like that." And he said, "Gucci."
I didn't say good.
He didn't say that.
so this is today's. I've actually changed it because I think it'd be quite good with Gavin here. So I've done a list of this. This is the fastest construction plant in miles an hour, right?
Ooh.
So I've got 10. I've got 10 here.
This could be a bit. We've got to get the rules. I've got a question about this, Mr. Question Master, because when you're saying construction plant, you're including obviously like wheeled excavators, or just tracked excavators, or because there's a big difference, isn't there?
Right. So yeah, I've got excavators.
Yeah, but you got wheeled ones.
Yeah, I've got.
I mean, you're there tracking on your 20-ton cat, and there's me steaming past you on me Korean
but
rubber
this
duck.
is the fastest. So tracked you wouldn't necessarily go for. Wheeled you might, right?
Yeah, okay. So
But,
fastest. I just wanted to clarify.
But there's other plant that's faster. So
Okay.
this is basically.
So what we've got to pick our top 5.
So yeah, I think what you got to do is I want you to give me an item, and give me a miles an hour, right? Or we can reverse it. I'll give you the items. That's probably a better way to do it. I'll give you the items. I want you to give me the miles an hour.
Oh, okay.
Do you like that?
Let's go for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm up for that challenge.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I think you got.
No,
you're gonna
I
do
want to
all right
guess
here.
both. of them.
You never know.
Well, obviously, there's a slight variation in manufacturers, isn't there? But
I want to go for like, I don't know, like a JCB loading, like a loading shovel. JCB 20 miles
I've got
an hour.
wheel loaders. I've got
Yeah,
wheel
wheel
loaders.
loader.
That's on there.
I don't know.
Right. So is that your guess then? Is
20 mile an hour.
it? Right. So Mark Kennedy, wheel loader,
Yeah.
20 miles an hour. Right. I'm right. I'm going to write that down. Charlie, a wheel loader.
I ain't got a clue. I'm not gonna lie. Let's just go for. I don't know.
There's a big difference about what you're allowed to do as well.
Well, we did it in the Black Cat, didn't we?
Yeah. I'd say there was something faster than a loading shovel.
We do. Yeah.
There
Look,
is.
there
The
are.
fastest lot.
Yeah, but we'll go for wheel because it's on here.
We'll go for
wheel
wheel.
loader.
Okay, what's your-
We'll do. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll do 3. Right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'll go on forever. We'll do 3. But so you've said 20 miles an hour for a wheel loading shovel. Charlie?
What are we going to do?
Yeah, give me
how
the miles an
fast
hour.
the-
Yeah, give me the miles an hour.
25.
Charlie,
It's
25.
not fair. He fucking trains them. He
Right.
sits them.
Yeah, but we don't go flat out in them. Not like that. I'm going to go 23.
You're going to go 23.
Yeah.
Right.
So I reckon a telehandler's faster than a loading shovel.
But we'll do telehandlers next then, right? But I'm going to give you the answer for the loading shovel. Are you ready for this? Charlie's got a point. 25.
Who's that?
What?
What make was that?
What?
What make was that?
I don't know what make it was. That's the maximum speed of a telehandler was of a wheeled shovel was 25. So that's
We'll have to go to arbitration.
Charlie's got one
It's
here.
like,
Right, you want to go? You want to go to telehandlers, shall we? Let's go to telehandlers. That's
well,
on
I don't
here.
know. I don't mind. I thought we were going to pick out the best.
Let me give it. Let's do
You
one.
haven't organised this very well, have you?
I've organised it really well. Right, here's one then. Right, because you won't know this. Right, motor graders.
Okay.
Right,
I'd say,
top miles an hour of a motor grader.
I'd say it's quite slow.
Nah.
Huh? Really?
Nah, they're
Go, you
quite,
go first.
quite fast paced, to be fair. They're only slow when you obviously got your moldboard down and you're grading away, like. But I'm going to go 28 mile an hour.
28 for Gavin.
And to be fair, when you're in them, that feels rapid.
Charlie.
See, I would have gone 28. I'm going to go 30.
Charlie's going to go 30. Mark.
I ain't got a clue. Because I'm thinking of them actually working, you know what I mean? Rather than, you know, just using it as
No,
a
this is
vehicle.
fun. Let's have a race with motor graders. What do they do?
I'll go lower than these two, 26.
26. The point goes to Gavin.
Is it?
28.
There you go.
Nice.
Yep.
Lovely.
And then I think this one will be funny. Let's do this one because it's funny. Compaction rollers. Top speed of a compaction roller.
What? Tandem roller or big front drum? What are we talking about? What size here?
Like a 120 roller.
120
Okay,
roller?
tandem
120
roller then.
Oh, Jesus.
Who wants to go first?
I'll say 10 mile an hour.
Yeah.
You're going to say 10, Mark.
That's going to feel pretty fast on a tandem, that is.
I think it's about. I'm going to go with 6 mile an hour, 6 mile an hour.
6 mile an hour. And Charlie,
I'm going to go 8.
you're going to go 8. The actual answer, none of you got. The actual answer is 7.5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, you got the
But
closest.
it's still
then.
going to feel really
Mark
fast.
got the closest. So
You said 6, didn't you?
Mark
I
I
was
got
said
points.
6.
said 8.
Charlie
You said-
got, yeah.
you said
Good
6.
you ain't here for fucking maths.
So we'll do.
I said 8.
He said 8.
Oh yeah, sorry mate. Yeah, he did. Right, so Charlie's got. So that's Charlie 2, Gavin 1, Mark none.
Cool, unlucky.
Fucking
Nice.
hell.
hell,
Who'd
eh?
ever have thought that?
Who's
eh?
the experts, eh?
I can't believe that was his start off a quiz. Can you?
Hold on. And
I
what was
thought
your
it was
comment
really
at the
good.
beginning? I ain't going to be no good at all this, blah, blah, blah. Sounds like a stitch up here. We were talking about AI earlier. You went hacked in my computer and had a look at my,
I did
my
do
quizzes,
that, yeah.
didn't you?
Well, so anyway, while we're livening it up a little bit, I've got some more film themes. So, if basically the question went out a few weeks ago and we had a few answers last time, it was like, if my company was a film, what would it be called and why? So this week someone's gone Harry Potter, any Harry Potter they said. I'd call my firm Harry Potter. Not representing the magic and skill involved in operating plant and machinery, because one of the owners is ginger, one has glasses, and they're both trying to shag the bird in the office. So I thought that was quite decent. And yeah, next one is again. They said that this is again because there's about 4 of these films. Die Hard. He said not symbolising the the determination and persistence of the workers in this sector. So I must say that it's because one of the fitters got stuck in the air conditioning duct. This is one of my favourite ones, because it was one of my favourite films, the Shawshank Redemption. You've seen that?
Oh, brilliant
quality film, eh?
Yeah.
He said, because the accountant fucked off with a boss's money, never to be found again, and we went skin. So that's a bit unfortunate. The other one, again, I don't know where people, there must be things like you think about in your life and they've happened, and I think I should do this myself. I think we could rename a couple of the companies we work for. The Lion King, because the owners are both brothers. One of them run the other one over with a forklift. He said in brackets by mistake, and nearly killed him. Then the guy who was in hospital, his then son come over and eventually took over the firm. So it's a bit like, it's exactly the same. Lion King. And then the last one I had was the Hunger Games. The culture is that bad, it's like everyone wants to fucking kill each other just to get a ride in the boss's car. Yeah, we worked for a few firms like that. Yeah, so one of them was more of an open question, really, that was asked. So, but you've promoted yourself basically, and you've been promoted in your time, so it's relevant to all of us around the table here. But someone said, like, I've recently been promoted into a leadership position in a construction company. Do we have any effective strategies of leading a team, ensuring productivity? Any tips that we can give where we've managed people, and how we can get the best out of the people that we're now managing? So obviously it's a new manager, probably a bit scared and worried.
I'd say listen to your people around you, take on what they've and use their opinions as well, but make sure you credit their opinions to them. 100%. If you want the most out of someone, I'd say that.
I think my snippet, I suppose, for that would be to quite quickly understand or even discuss what their strengths and weaknesses are, because then from day one, you know what they might be good at, what they might not be so good at. That then gives you a bit of clue as to what training they might need going forward, and what they're already competent at. There's nothing worse than someone coming in, he can do the job, and then you're throwing them things, and by chance the things you're asking them to do they're not so good at or can't do. Yeah. So I think having a key discussion with your members of staff, however many that is, about what they feel they're good at, what they feel they're not so good at. Then as the workload comes in, you know where your pinch points are going to be, and where to train people up for the strengths in the future.
Yeah, I think you're bang on. I think that really getting to know your team is so important. Bringing them all in and having a chat with them one by one, understanding what they like, what they don't like about their job or the business, and really taking that on board, listening to them, like you said, Gavin, and I think as well being understanding to their situation. Everyone's human at the end of the day. Everyone goes through difficult times. Everyone goes through really great times, and I think that just because they're maybe not being as productive as what you want, it might be because not necessarily because they've lost complete interest in the job. It might be because they've got something going on personally or whatever. So I think that's really important. Another thing I would say as well is just understanding the processes of the business very, very well, and making sure that everyone also understands those processes, and sort of regular training sessions, and keeping people up to date with everything that you're doing as a business, I think is really important, so they've got a goal to be working towards. So
I think the big thing as well, and I always say this to new testers, be a person. Be a person before anything else. So anyone who's becoming a tester, I would say, look, just remember when you're about to can the person because he's done something dramatically wrong, be a person, make it a shit sandwich, give them the good bit, the bad bit, followed by the good bit, just so it's not all one negative.
Yeah, I agree. I think the mistakes that leaders make is, not enough communication. Does the person know the bigger picture? Do they know where they actually fit in a team? It's amazing over the years I've been managing people that I've looked and talk to people and actually ask that question, do you know what's expected of you? Some of them don't. Do you actually understand the role you're doing? Some people take a piece of paper and fill it in because that's what they're meant to do, but they don't understand what goes wrong, where that piece of paper goes, or why they're doing it in the first place.
I read a book on that, yeah.
Yeah, understanding the bigger picture, where do they fit in, and more importantly, what's expected of them. And always, as a manager, I think, get the facts first before you steam in.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you a
facts
story
are so
about me, my first learning curve. My dad used to own a small joinery shop, and I was young, and what I don't know, he used to give me a bit of a digging when I used to go in there. You know, I was the boss's son. Big joinery shop, by the way. You know, big canteen in there, lots of people, probably about 50 or 60 people working in there. And he said, the trouble is with you, he goes, you ain't got the fucking balls. They're all fucking about down there. And I was only a young lad. I was like 16, 17 years old. He goes, they're all fucking about down there. And like, you want to be a manager. You want to make sure that they pull the line. And they're not doing nothing. So, you know, being a fucking big lad, I went down there and they're all in the canteen, fucking about. And there's one guy standing against the wall, you know, like James Dean with his leg up against the, you know, his foot up against the wall. And in them days, you could have a fag in a joinery shop, believe it or not. And he's having a bit of a fag. I said, here, mate, how much fucking money do you make? He says, £150 a week. I said, well, go to the fucking office now, get £150 out the petty cash from Doris in the fucking upstairs and fuck off.
You said that. You said that.
I thought I sorted it. My old man's going over the fucking moon. And this is all it is about. Always get the fucking facts and, you know, and understand what's going on. So I went into old Charlie, who was the fucking foreman. I said, who the fuck was him there standing around doing nothing? He said he was the pizza delivery boy. Fucking just dropped us all the pizzas for the boys for the lunch. So I just give him a tip of 150 fucking quid. Yeah, so get the facts right and maybe talk to people in a more civil manner. So there's a bit of karma for me there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so thanks for coming in, Gavin. Brilliant having you in. And, you know, great insight of what's going on in the industry, and we'll get you on again when things have moved on, and appreciate you coming. Thanks, guys.
Thanks very much, mate.
Cheers.
Appreciate that.
Excellent.